Welcome back. We're talking about the impact of media on children and teens today on the show, bringing things even into context over what we saw the past couple of days, which is all about the Warunga killing. Remember the eldest son talking about his inspiration on how to kill? Yes, from that popular British show, Killing Eve. Well, what we're really talking about is pretty much the adverse effects of media on children and teens. Yes, there is some good, especially when it comes to social media, but we have more bad than good taking place. And so Brian Sakwa, who's a mental health conversationalist, is here with us today just to discuss where the mental state is of our children, especially what we're seeing online. What are they thinking? What are they experiencing? Family IT consultant Evelyn Casina is also joining us via Skype. But we've been asking you on how you have managed to deal with the situation right in your home in regards to how you're dealing with those devices, how you're having such conversations with your children. Talk to us. Those numbers are at the bottom of your screen. Well, someone says, concerning the question, 12 years, I can advise they should own phones after secondary education. It really helps. Look at that smiley face. I think it's not even a mental illness, being concerned about the murder, maybe demonic things, and parents should always talk to their children and be free with them so that, you know, from time to time, and make time for them rather. That is Kambuthu Caroline. All right, thanks. Someone says, nice topic. Children addiction to phone is disastrous if left unchecked. Parental control is key. Parents should be friends to their kids to enable to know what is happening in their world. Regards, that is Fred Kiru, who is a life coach and author of What Kills, and by the way, What Kills Students. Okay. All right, some parents really expose their children to social media. A good example is an artist by the name Trio_Mayo. He's already a celebrity, having done a collabo with Major. The question is, how does he balance education and music? Shiko, I'm Vicky. The lady has spoken. My kids after school, they are always glued to TV, cartoons, and games. For me, it's so hard to handle them. Greet your guests too. All right, so you can actually see the challenges that people are having right in their home, especially when you have more than one child. You know, it's like, how do you manage them? But let me start off with you as we get connected to Evelyn in just a second. What do you think we are doing or not doing now that we used to do differently back in the day? Because stemming from what another viewer said, we watched all this kind of content, Brian, while we're not walking around with axes in our bags. And you pretty much grew up to be stable, so to speak. So what do you think the issue, where is the missing link today?
I think the problem is abandonment and neglect and sometimes ignorance, because modern day parents are busy working to provide for their kids.
Yeah.
So you've heard of those parents who say, we are going to compare sim. That's it.
Ako tu sawa.
Yeah. Neglect, abandonment, and arrogance.
Yeah.
And of course, with technology has brought a lot of content. Once you, the feedback says, once your kid is free, the only thing they can use back in your house is they can go using the phone, watching videos, blah, blah, blah. And that's how they end up on Killing Eve. So I think what parents can do is, previously we never had technology, and now technology has come. So parents need to embrace technology and also learn how to be part of the process of raising Generation Z kids by having a relationship with them through technology. Be part of technology. Learn how to use TikTok too as a parent. If your kid if your 12-year-old is on TikTok, what are they looking for on TikTok at 12? A 10-year-old playing a sexually pervertive board game. What are they getting from the board game?
What are they doing? Okay, I understand Evelyn is now back on. Evelyn, if you can hear me, let's just pick up on even what one viewer has said, that parental control is the way to go. My question is, though, is if you consistently just keep putting barriers and saying, don't do this, no TV from this time, no this, no that, is that really effective? Content monitoring versus conversation is the question here. What is more effective? Discussing with your child why they shouldn't watch XYZ and, you know, just advising on what they should and should not do versus you implementing all these rules and regulations without, you know, any discussion. Evelyn, I understand that you have muted your mic. If you can work on that, because I know you can hear me. All right. Okay, so Evelyn is working on that. Apologies for it. I think our director wants us to sample like 1 or 2 texts. Can we continue as she works on it? Okay. So, yes, someone says, I sometimes get amused when kids cry, then they are given a phone to watch a video in order to keep silent. That comfort, kids don't find it on in their parents nowadays. Parental love is lacking. Someone agrees with you, Brian. That's Bernard Deto from Machakos.
Absolutely.
Okay. So parental neglect.
Yeah, neglect, abandonment, and all that.
Okay. Someone says, well, if some youth had a parent, especially a father who doesn't care and is violent and doesn't accept correction, all he watches is wrestling and always giving you headaches and pressures from you, don't stay and, you know, pressures and you don't stay in peace, always anxious of the next minute his reaction towards you, it makes you eat very unhealthy food and staying depressed all the time. He controls you even when you can have breakfast. Okay. The only thing one is left with is to hide on their phone and survive. There is no other peace at all. Even visiting friends is an issue. Okay, please give ideas. I am tired of framing ways to survive every time, not to count the days, weeks, and months. All right, so that's actually a text message.
Wow.
From what I'd like to believe is perhaps a teenager, constantly stressed. Can you see the anxiety, the pressure coming from this individual who hasn't left their name, but I mean, you kind of understand their situation.
They could be going through a mental health issue that perhaps is related to the parent.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned previously before, if there's neglect, there's what is it called? Abusive and dismissive parents, or a child experiences a parent as being abusive, and there's no relationship, there's no emotional intimacy.
Yeah.
Definitely, they feel abandoned, and the only thing they can resort to is a gadget.
Right. But
So,
how do we solve this? Because even he or she is asking, what do I do now, Brian? How do they spark that conversation and even tell their parents, first of all, do you understand the reason I'm always on my phone or listening, you know, to the music and have my headphones on is because you don't even make time for me?
I think if the kid is mature enough to even send that message, I'm sure she or he has the capacity to approach the parent and tell him or her, Mom, I feel like I'm going through this, and I need your love, I need your support. Or if they can't, they can access psychosocial support online. There's organizations that are offering psychosocial support to anyone who's going through any mental health issue.
Yeah.
Or sometimes inspirational content is good. It's good for you, especially if you're tech savvy now. Like she says or he says, he or she is always on their gadgets. Please start listening to inspirational content and content that gives affirmation and good vibes, positive energy. Yeah. If at all you're parentless, then at least approach the guardian you're living with. Yeah.
All right. There's another issue that we're seeing online, Brian, and I think you probably did touch a little bit on it, but let's just frame it this way. The need for acceptance that young people have online, on social media especially. And it's not even just them. If you watch that documentary, and I've mentioned this quite a number of times on my show, there's a documentary on Netflix called Social Dilemma, The Social Dilemma. Very
Seen
interesting.
A trailer.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you look at how important functions like likes, comments, all those things are, it literally becomes an addiction that if I don't have over 200 likes on a post, it really does get to the individual or the user. And the funniest thing is that even on Social Dilemma, when you meet the people who developed these apps, they will tell you that was not the intention, to drive people crazy and dependent and having this void of wanting people to accept them on social media. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about the peer pressure that comes in and that need for just acceptance?
I will say this statement: if you always feel insufficient inside of you, you will always try to look for a portal or access something or a person that can make you feel sufficient.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a competition on social media to post and get likes, like the celebrities are getting the views and the likes. And that stems down again to parental affirmation.
Yeah.
There's no intimacy, emotional intimacy. There's no acknowledgement that you are my kid, you are my son, you are my daughter.
Yeah.
I love you and I'm here to support you.
Yeah.
Abandonment and rejection is in there.
Right.
So if you lack that, and there's a saying that goes, if you always feel wrong, you will always fight to be right.
Yeah.
And that's how you find yourself, you know, posting on social media. Of course, you're competing with celebrities who have likes. Now that you're posting your picture and you're getting 10 likes, you feel like, I'm not loved enough.
Yeah.
And you might experience withdrawal symptoms.
Absolutely.
Others, they even start using drugs. Others, like now, the incident that we had mentioned below, going naked live on Instagram to just attract traffic.
Absolutely.
But once you feel sufficient inside of you, the affirmation and the seeds of assurance have been planted inside of you from your parents, then you won't feel insufficient to go and start looking for likes on social media or wanting people to acknowledge you and validate who you are. Yes.
And you will be surprised, quite a number of techies who did initially help develop some of these apps resigned simply because of the impact some of these platforms are having on children today. Mark you, the suicide rate obviously increasing, the age is even lower today. So you have your average 10-year-old committing suicide. What issues do you think a 10-year-old would have to drive them to kill themselves? Evelyn, you're back with us. Apologies for that. I was asking you earlier on what you think is an effective mechanism to dealing with all of this. You putting rules, you know, in your household versus you having a conversation as to how to use the internet. What works better?
I wanted to burst the bubble of the parent.
Yeah.
Who believes that putting controls is effective. That is only effective for a very short time and for a specific age of children. And the effectiveness I have seen working very well for kids between the age of 6 to 8. Past that, you must have conversations.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like effective and conscious parenting is connect with your child before you correct your child. Connect before you correct.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean. We need to be able to get into their space. One, they are using technology very different from the way we are. That's a fact.
Yeah.
They are consuming it more than we do. And their lives, because they are digital natives by nature, they have more interaction and different and vast platforms to use than you and I.
Yeah.
And the parent needs to be able to come down to the level of the child. If you need to understand your child and to have effective controls, it all starts with the foundation, which is offline.
Yeah.
So if you cannot connect with your child, they will give you what you want to hear. You know, they will be hiding their screens when you're around. They will be behaving the way you want them to behave while you're around.
Right.
And also, it is important for parents to understand that you're not the only person in the ecosystem of your child. There are people outside your home who will give them access to the same technology that you're denying them at home, or the same technology that you have put so many filters in your house. In the neighbor's house, those filters don't exist. With your house help, those filters don't exist. In the school, probably there's free open Wi-Fi. When you go for brunch in in a hotel or somewhere, the internet is normally open for some places, and the internet is actually just free flowing. So we need to start understanding how to help our children have their own controls, internal mechanisms.
Wow.
That is what is very important. And that means you first connect with your child before you correct them.
Wow.
If you don't exhaust the why, I believe when you don't exhaust the why for your child, they will always look for ways to circumvent those mechanisms that you're putting up.
Okay.
So yes, confrontation is the best way.
I like that. Connect with your child before you correct your child, Brian.
Intimacy.
It really, isn't it? And when you think about children now going back to school, and perhaps obviously like we're talking about just their engagement on social media, there's something perhaps even a lot of parents are completely unaware may be going on with their child, and that is cyberbullying. Exactly. What is a form of cyberbullying that maybe people just think it's someone teasing you online, but they come in different shapes and forms. What would you classify as cyberbullying for those who may not even understand what it looks like?
I would say, anyways, bullying can happen to anyone as compared to real life bullying and internet bullying, where someone sends you inappropriate messages, texts and emails that with the intention of perhaps hurting you emotionally or triggering a certain reply from your end that can be emotionally and even mentally damaging to you. So I would define cyberbullying as that. And for a 10-year-old committing suicide, there's a possibility they have been bullied either online or in real life.
That's true.
And like we said, if there's no connection, if there's no emotional safety where your kid is free to confess to you things that they're experiencing, then the only solution they have is to end their lives. That's where you realize 10-year-olds are committing suicide. Like today in the morning, in one of the news highlights, an 8-year-old boy, I don't know, in Nyasiti or Kasiti, committed suicide. Was it yesterday? Yesterday in the evening. So 8-year-old boy.
Right.
Yeah, and sometimes it can trickle down to spiritual issues and just parental home issues that include sometimes even divorce.
Right.
Divorce can lead to a kid committing suicide. Violent parents who are abusive and semi-absent or semi-present or present-absent. There's usually types of parents who are actually there. They're just there to provide. But there's a difference between being a provider and being a father and being a mother. And that includes playing the role of being a friend to your son or your daughter.
Okay. Evelyn, we only have a couple of minutes to go, probably about 5 or 6. So, maybe we can just touch on this very quickly. Brian mentioned the word if your child, or at least the word confess, and said that if your child cannot come up to you and tell you what's going on with their lives digitally, then you're going to have a problem. But the question is, a lot of parents have, is how do I get my child to open up about how they're using the internet and just be free with you and tell you, Mommy, I saw something on TikTok, or there's this thing I saw on YouTube. And as a family IT consultant, obviously this probably is one of the issues you may be tackling. All right. Evelyn, I don't know if you can hear me, but we cannot hear you. Are you back? Okay, so Evelyn can hear me, but unfortunately her mic is having a challenge, so we're still working on that audio. But let's sample some text messages if we can, Bona Director, very quickly, just to see what our viewers are saying in regards to today's discussion. Someone says, hi, I think social media is rich with all kinds of information. Some children, if they're not treated with love, they can see how parents care with love for their children in movies, so they end up wishing if their parents can love them to that extent they desire. Secondly, some parents are more of bullies to their children. They are always harsh to their kids, and they find a movie that really relates with their emotional needs, so they might easily copy what that character in the movie did. Okay, interesting perspective. Children and teens are sharp nowadays because of technological advancement. Shiko, during my schooling days, whenever a teacher or parent passes by, we stood up as a sign of respect. Currently, it's contrary. Discipline is also key. All right, Pundit KE from Baringo. Okay, so we're still working on at least getting back with Evelyn in just a moment. But Brian,
I can pick up on that.
I think another aspect to all of this, even as we give Evelyn the opportunity to discuss how, you know, children can open up, I feel is also that peer-to-peer action that needs to be involved, because we can't say the internet is bad 100%. It's like money, you know, what do you do with money is what determines, you know, what you become.
Absolutely.
And so how do we get more young people who are using the internet positively to influence the ones, you know, that perhaps are using it for negative purposes, so to speak?
The best way a parent can do to access that part is ensure at least you have access to real-life positive role models that can come and interact with your kids and explain to them, this is how I use internet with my 5-year-old. We've seen Britain Got Talent where 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds singing Mariah Carey songs on Britain Got Talent. It means there's that positive aspect of how we can embrace even the wild in a positive way by educating our kids on the positive effects of how to use this content. So that trickles down to also the moral value. I mean, the value system you have for your kids. If you're always clear on what you expect from your kid, they won't go contrary to what you expect. And sometimes having that clear conversation as a child, if today you're watching Ben 10, I want you to learn something that's inspirational from Ben 10. And if it's a certain Ben 10 episode, be careful of the characterization. If the character is portraying a rebellious character or a sexism character, it's mentally damaging and even subconsciously corrupting the young kid's mind. So you need to be very clear.
That's true. And what do we do as parents? You just switch on, if you have DSTV in your house or whatever, you put Cartoon Network and you let it run.
No, you can educate your kids that today we are going to watch this cartoon, and this is what I want you to learn from this cartoon because it has this value to you. It will help you learn how to socialize. It will help you learn how to play. It will help you learn some little information about technology. And this is the benefit, like teach the children the benefit that they will get from the content. And also be clear on the negatives, because when you tell a kid, today I don't want you to watch this station, they will find a way of watching that station.
They'll be like, why are you telling me not to watch it?
Give them the reason why. Mommy, today I don't want you to watch this station because it has this guest, and this guest is known for this thing that's not good for kids. So explaining to them that this is the reason why I don't want to.
That's an amazing point. That's some powerful stuff. Evelyn, please tell me that you can hear me. I want to take this opportunity to give you, you know, the final remarks, because I can't take another chance. I might lose you and now lose you for good. So our parting shot is to tell parents how they can get their children to open up.
Okay. I hope now I'm clear. Am I clear?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Absolutely. So I was saying before, one of the things that I have found interesting, because I speak to both parents and I speak to both children. One of the things is, as parents, we need to stop living our lives in our children. And I will explain. There are things that you wanted to do when you were younger, and you want to relieve those things when through your children. Like you wanted to do ballet. Your child really doesn't love ballet, but you're like, you have to do ballet. You have to do an instrument. Those kind of things. We need to start seeing our children as independent thinkers, as sovereign beings. And once we get that right, you want to connect with your child by letting them understand that, by the way, as we are creating these conversations, I want to listen to you as much as I want you to listen to me. And the connection comes there. And that's how you find that children feel. You want to make your environment so conducive that if anything were to happen outside your environment, your child is comfortable coming to tell you, because when they tell you, you're not shouting, You're not giving them, pre-formed answers. You're not telling them, but I'm always telling you, but I'm always saying, why don't you listen? You need to be able to first calm down and listen to them. And for those parents who feel like this is so difficult, I'll give you an exercise to do today. Just go and ask your child one question. What can I do today to become an effective parent to you, or to become a better person to you? And then you sit down, and by then the answer will not be one. They will tell you so many things, but you need to be able to get feedback from them, because probably there are things you do without your knowledge that agitate your children. You force them to do things that make them not live an authentic life. So we need to be able to come to their level and tell them, you know what, today I just want to know one thing that I can do, or several things that can make me a better person to you. And believe you me, that is the point where you start connecting. And I think this is something that we really need to do as much as possible with our children.
Yeah.
Again, I agree with your host, your guest in studio, exhaust the why. It is so important. When you explain to your child why and they understand it, by the way, they even become your friend more than you believe, because they want to be able to tell you as much as possible. And then one other thing that I feel like I need to do as much as possible, when children are watching movies, is watch with them.
Yeah.
So that at least you're also able to understand they like this because of that. And when they're watching a movie, maybe you feel like it is so violent. Ask them why is this so intriguing? Because the way you started the show, when you are saying that there are certain things that our children are watching that are making them, become something else. Some parents do understand that there's a new game, or a new challenge rather, that is called Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. We need to start looking at some of the trends that are coming. There's a game called Charlie, 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 where children are actually trying to channel. And it's very crazy because it is making them, do very dangerous things.
Wow.
There's kids who are committing suicide, there are people who are committing murder. Then you start wondering, what is in this game that is making children become crazy, or it is brainwashing them?
Right.
So the thing is, connect with your child.
Okay.
Ask them why they love certain things. If you can, sit with them and watch those things they love and have a conversation with them. And don't go there with already a preset mind. Come there with a blank canvas so that you can try and understand from their perspective. Then you bring your adultness so that you can try and guide them, because that is the best way we can manage. Because as opposed to how we grew up, right now our children are getting so many things so very fast. If you don't answer them very well, there is Google, there are friends, there are other people who will exhaust their answers.
Right.
And guess what? As a parent, you already lose them at that point.
Okay.
So I think we just need to start seeing their life from their perspective first. And when children are telling you that I'm feeling anxious, my tummy is feeling weird, those are signs of anxiety. You need to be able to calm the child down and try and see from their perspective why they're feeling the way they're feeling, so that you connect with them.
All right.
That is the best way to be able to know what is happening in their life.
Well, you know what?
Hope that helps.
Yes, absolutely, it did. Evelyn, thank you so much. As always, it's fantastic having you on the show because you really, really hit home in regards to just navigating this murky world of the internet. And so as we wind up, I just want to say a big thank you yet again to Evelyn Kasina. She is a family IT consultant. Should you be looking for her, please go ahead online and find Eve Minette. She is the CEO of that particular consultancy firm in regards to IT. Also, the mental health conversationalist. Thank you so much. Brian Sakwa is also on social media. You can catch him should you require any consultation as well. Well, the message is clear. Connect before you correct. Come down to their level. We hope that was actually helpful today. Keep talking to us through our social media platforms at K24 TV. We'll leave it there on behalf of course, the entire breakfast crew. My name is Shiko Kaitani. We're going to say thank you so much for watching. The Daily Brief is up next. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Bye-bye.